Being an athlete for the last 19 years and being forced to quit has been one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. You build this sort of like identity of yourself, and your sport becomes your whole identity. Like it's your whole being at some point, and it's gives you all the meaning in the world, and all your purpose is directed to this one thing that you do. And most athletes never usually have anything else that they can do other than the sport. And it's such a misconception, I feel like, in the world, where people tell you like, as an athlete, you'll have to like, that's the only thing you have to do, and that's the only thing you should think about 24/7, and you shouldn't be thinking about anything else, and like you should put all your 100% effort into it, and this kind of thing. And it's pretty sad like how most athletes turn out when they come to the end of their career, because most sports are like really really high risk, and you could get injured. You could There are a lot of politics. You could get a health condition, and there are multiple reasons why sports might not work out, and it might even be financial, because sports is like really costly, and you get almost nothing back in return unless you're a cricketer in India, and cricket is like super competitive. So you bet everything on this one thing that you think will work, because obviously everyone has hope, right? And it somehow doesn't work out, and this makes your mental health spiral downward completely, and you have nothing else that you can do. And I really really feel for athletes who have gone through long bouts of injury, hoping that they'll come back one day, hoping that it'll be fine. Because honestly, if you ask me, the physiotherapy and the rehab aspect of sports isn't talked as much, and especially the mental health aspect of athletes is not at all spoken enough. When you get injured, or when you just can't play the sport anymore, it's pretty tiring. It's really really depressing, honestly, and it takes a lot to honestly get through that. So athlete mental health is a real thing, and it's not talked about enough, I feel. There's also this big performance pressure. It could be from sponsors, it could be from coaches, it could be from parents, it could even be from yourself, honestly. Because personally, if you ask me, I put the most pressure on myself. It wasn't my coaches, it wasn't my parents. My parents are amazing people, so they never really pushed me into doing anything, and I just used to put insane amounts of pressure on myself to perform. I had these lofty goals at the age of 19, 20. I want to make it big, just like every other athlete out there. I wanted to make it really, really big. And that made me put insane amounts of pressure on myself, because this is the one thing that's going for me, right? There's nothing that's going for me. And if I'm not good in my sport, then what am I good at? Why am I even alive if I'm not good at my sport? Because that's the one thing I've been doing for like 19 years, and it's just a very horrible feeling. One day you're over the moon, or you just won in practice, you just beat the best player in your academy. One day you're like literally over the moon, and the other day you lose to like a junior, or you lose to someone you probably don't you lose to, and then your whole day is like extremely depressing. You go back home, probably scroll on your phone, because you have nothing else that you can do. You don't have, first of all, you don't have the energy to like do anything else because you're exhausted, but you just scroll on your phone for hours on end, and that cheap dopamine gives you absolutely nothing. And then this cycle continues, and it's just a very toxic cycle, and years of this really takes a toll on your mental health. You start thinking that your whole life revolves around this one thing, and which is kind of toxic for anything that you do. Like nothing in your life should revolve around one thing, because you you can't let this one thing control your life. All this pressure that you put on yourself, um, it becomes hard. All this pressure that you put on yourself, it becomes extremely hard to perform in tournaments. You might be playing extremely well in practice, you might be the best player in your academy or in your team in practice, but the second you step on the court and it comes down to performing in at where it really matters, you're so under pressure that you end up throwing the match, or you end up being so nervous. I remember multiple matches where I used to step on the court with insane amounts of pressure on myself, and I could literally remember my hand just shaking as the match started. And maybe like the first set gets over, and then the second set, my hand's still shaking, and it's just a very unpleasant feeling. And this can't be what the sport really was about, honestly. When you started playing, it can't be. You probably started playing because maybe your dad or your parents put you in the sport, and you just started playing and you really really enjoyed it, you really had fun, right? That was the main reason why you even picked up the racket, or like kicked the football, or like did any kind of sport, honestly. Like, you only did it because you enjoyed it. And we just forget why we ever started playing the sport at some point, and we just tend to focus on being the best at the sport, and you just never have fun anymore. The fun aspect is just completely taken out of the sport that you play, which is why you started in the first place. I feel like I played my best when I just went out there and played for fun, had fun, came back. I know I'm realizing this pretty late. Um, I think I realized it when I was playing, but the thing is, when you're still in that zone, it's just hard to, even if you realize it, sometimes it's really, really hard to not care about something that you care about. It's like saying, yeah, just don't be scared, or like just don't put pressure on yourself, because it's just impossible. And I feel like the only way that you can not feel pressure in the sport is by changing the way you live, the life that you lead, by doing new things, by exploring, understanding that maybe the sport isn't really your whole life. It's probably like 20-25 years of your life, and after that you'll still have to be alive for the rest of the time, and you have to figure out what you're going to do then. If anyone who's an athlete is watching this video, I want you to understand that life is so much more than just kicking a ball, or throwing a ball, or holding a racket. Life is so much more, and life is extremely beautiful. Life can be extremely painful, life can be extremely sad, life is just hard sometimes, but all these emotions do exist outside of your sport. So your sport is not everything, and the second you think that your sport is everything, you will just have a hard time competing in the sport that you play right now. And even after you finish playing, you're just gonna have a really really hard time adjusting to life. So go out there, make new friends, find new things to do, make new hobbies, stop hanging out with the same athletes who are around you, because you're just the same person. You never experience anything new hanging out with the same people that you always do with. You need to hang out with new people, who don't play sports, because they've been through a different life than you. Otherwise, life is just gonna be super hard when you stop playing, and nobody really teaches you how to live life after you finish your career as an athlete. Nobody really helps you. There's no manual, there's no rule book. And most of us don't have any really skills other than the sport that you play, honestly. You probably stop studying at a very young age. You can't read anymore. You have no skills whatsoever other than the sport. And it's just really sad. And creating a new life after your life as an athlete ends becomes super difficult. And most athletes just usually become coaches right after they finish their career. They just coach at the sport that they have played. And there's obviously nothing wrong with being a coach, because I am a coach, and it's given me a lot of joy to help other people, other athletes get better. But life can be so much more than the sport that you play, like I said. So I don't think you should like settle being happy, just being a coach. Um, I mean, this is a personal opinion of mine. So try to do new things. Maybe you'll find something else that you enjoy other than the sport. Partly, me creating this account is something that's other than a sport that I want to do, and this is also like really helping me. I'm really enjoying this, honestly. I remember when I first stopped playing, how hard it was for me to do anything else. Honestly, it was just super difficult for me to get into anything, and I just spent hours on end scrolling on my phone, watching YouTube videos, just scrolling Instagram, wasting my time. And most athletes end up doing this kind of thing because it's the easiest way to just get dopamine, and you feel like you're happy. You feel like something's happening in your life, but it's the worst thing that could happen to you, honestly. So we really need to put our phone down and really go outside, experience the world. It's the most beautiful thing you can do. You finally feel like life is worth living because it really is. And no matter how hard it gets, injuries come and go, and sometimes they never go away. But it's really more than that, honestly. So stay positive and hopefully you keep smiling.